Tony Ferguson says he's fighting. Says he's got a fight. About to announce it. Now, I would be very light on that idea. And I'm only light on that idea is due to the rollout. I don't think there's any other fighter anywhere who would do a press release that I've got something to tell you. And at some point I'm gonna tell you. That's the part. And that's not the part like within the article I read. Within the article I read, they were not very nice about it. I think that Tony had lost his last 8 fights, I believe it said. And that he was released, fought out his UFC contract. But even when you fight your contract out, there's an I'm telling you about the article I read, but there's an exclusive negotiated, a 90-day exclusive period, and that was waived. So even though the exhaustion of the 8-fight deal was done, there was still a contract in place. Think of like squatters' rights. That was waived. This is according to the article. There was a pushback of where would Tony be fighting? Is it a new league? Is it one that we already know about? Is it a bare-knuckle situation? Who would that opponent be? And it was a very negative article. I don't share with you, but I don't know how sincere I take the news from any of that position. I share with you that there is no press release done in the history of combat where a guy comes out to say, I have something to say, and at some point I'll get around to doing that. That's what you call a piss-off. That's what you call annoying. That would be the proverbial middle finger to the audience. Hey guys, look at me and listen up. I have something to say, but I'm not gonna. And I'm just sharing with you. I don't know. And Tony had some fun with us once before. Tony, in his most recent, I've got an announcement, huge news, ended up he was in the country of Turkey and he had gotten hair plugs. He was shilling for a hair plug company. My producer's looking at him. I guess he didn't know this. Tony had announced that he had a big announcement, and the announcement was coming, and his shirt was off, this whole thing. It was actually really well done. It was really, really well done. I went and tuned in for it, and it was an announcement that he got hair. It was a plug for this thing in Turkey. So I am inclined to believe we're going down that road, but the article specifically said that Tony specifically said a fight. And would you be for that? Would it matter where it was? If there was strikes being delivered, could we just call MMA and we call boxing, we call bare knuckles, we call it all the same? Is there any that you would be okay with? And what about an opponent issue? What if I came to you with a very reasonable opponent? What if I told you that Tony Ferguson is going to have a fight with Diego Sanchez? That seems like a fun match. But would it matter to you? Would that matter to you? Would you think it was irresponsible? Would you think a commission should? I'm just wondering. The article I read was pretty negative. I don't believe we're headed in that direction. The way that would work is if you sign somewhere, particularly if you were a name like Tony Ferguson, and that was going to be something interesting, is the very first thing they would tell you is, do not tell anybody. We are going to roll this out in our own way. Which is where Tony coming out and screaming, I have news, oh, I can't tell you, just generally is not how this game is played, but it is Tony, and it is possible. And he did hold a bit of a press conference for himself for the hair plugs, but this time he says he's actually got a fight. But where do you stand? Would you need any more details? Would you want to hear what organization, what rule said, who the opponent is? Would you want to hear any of that? Leave me a comment below.